There's often a moment right after an emotional storm that most people overlook. A moment of strange quiet. This quiet is not numbness. Today, we'll look at how these moments after an emotional surge or storm offer us the clearest truth. Today we're continuing on with the series of videos around our nervous system and the expression of emotions and what these stages represent for us when we really look at them in a deeper fashion. In the last two videos we explored chaos and overwhelm, and using the metaphor of a wave forming and breaking as being a natural part of our nervous system resetting. But what happens after the wave breaks? Many of us have this experience after a surge of emotion where everything can feel very quiet. And for some of us, it may be very disorientating, and other of us may feel very much at peace around this moment. And I suspect that some of the time, a good percentage of the time, the difference between whether we feel disoriented or peaceful is whether or not we're resisting or struggling against the experience after the emotional surge. This is a space where integration happens. The moment after the wave breaks. It's not avoiding or shutting down. In fact, that is a common myth. A myth that after I cry, perhaps I feel peaceful. Does this mean that I'm shutting emotions away, that I'm avoiding my emotions? Quite to the contrary. In fact, after the storm ends, there's this space that's created in the nervous system to integrate and process. If I offer you the metaphor of water, dirty water, that's shaken up. It looks very murky, you cannot see anything in the process of it being shaken up, but once it settles, once it stops moving, the heavier grains, the dirt, fall to the bottom and there's clarity. This is akin to what's happening after an emotional surge, after the wave breaks. And it can actually reflect a moment where the most trustworthy insights can present to us. It's not just a zoning out period. There is wisdom to be accessed in these moments. I had one of these moments recently. The scenario was that I was asleep. My partner called me and she was upset about something. She was upset about a correspondence that I'd sent that didn't reflect what she thought it should have reflected in this particular message to one of her relatives. And she asked me to send this message because she wanted me to intervene, but she didn't feel that this message reflected what we'd discussed appropriately, and I felt criticised, and I was still in an alpha brainwave state, just coming out of sleep. So in that moment, I reacted quite defensively and surprisingly with more anger than I expected. And my initial reaction or thought was, what's wrong with me? I clearly haven't done the work on myself that I thought I had if I'm reacting in that type of way. And so this surge of emotion had come out of me, but just as it dissipated, and everything settled, it came to me. Immediately, this clarity of this deeper wounding, and I felt it down deep in the pit of my stomach, this heavy emotion that was clearly a signal, a sign to go inward, to go looking for some emotion that I hadn't processed. And I'd done a lot of this processing previously, using parts work, using the internal family systems model. But in this particular moment, there was something about this particular fragile, vulnerable emotion that felt very raw, very young, and in that moment that I then took the opportunity to explore, to show compassion and bring attention to this emotion, I was able to have one of the most profound emotional unburdening experiences that I've ever had, experiencing all sorts of sensations surging through my body as this emotion released. So in the aftermath of this moment of intensity, the wave breaking and certainly catching me off guard, this clarity just dawned on me very quickly that there was something there that needed my attention, and healing could ensue. And so I encourage you to really reflect on perhaps moments where that's happened for you and you have gained the wisdoms, or the missed opportunities where perhaps that stillness was there but you moved past it too quickly and sought to move on with your day. And hopefully my little story there can inspire you to take time, if you've got it. Obviously we live in busy worlds, and a busy world I should say, where our lives demand a lot of us, so there's not always the moment to sit in that moment of clarity. But if you have the opportunity, I certainly advocate for the wisdom that can flow as reflected in that little anecdote. So again, I'd like to offer a moment of introspection, a little guided meditation to potentially help you access a little taste of what I'm referring to here. I'm not inviting you to go into any intense memories to access these moments, but just perhaps to taste it will give you that sense that there is something there for you, that there is something there to come back to and to be acknowledged, particularly in future scenarios where the surge of emotion is particularly significant. So if you're willing, I invite you to take a comfortable position and close your eyes. And allow the breath just to guide you inward, simply witnessing the natural flow, the rise and fall of your chest and abdomen as it naturally takes in the air and seeks to release it. Now recall a moment, a recent emotional wave, nothing intense or painful, not too intense or painful, just something that felt a little more intense than usual. Maybe a feeling of irritation or sadness or overwhelm. Allow yourself to acknowledge this moment. Acknowledge that there was a rise in the emotion and the energy through your body. Emotion that peaked and surged and then dissipated. And go to that moment after it passed. That brief shift where your body softened, or your breathing slowed, or the intensity simply eased a little. See if you can sense that change again now. Once you've felt it, it can be re-accessed. The echo stays with you from that moment. Notice even a slight release, more openness. Tiny drop in the tension. Let yourself feel that shift again now. You're not trying to make it bigger, you're simply inviting it back into your awareness. Acknowledge the way that your system naturally settled then, and as you revisit again now, you re-experience that settling. The aftermath of the wave moving through. Perhaps there was an insight that came to you. Perhaps you intuitively knew why that moment unfolded, why it needed to happen the way it did. That emotion being felt and expressed. And if you didn't at the time, allow any insights to find you in this moment. There is wisdom in that silence. And as you sit with that settling and the knowing that there is always some type of growth from our toughest moments. Bring that knowing back with you. Trusting that any future surges have a gift embedded that you can now be more vigilant of. And start to bring your awareness more into the external space around you. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back in. For me, those moments, when I look back, have been quite regular. I gave an example earlier, but when I took the time to have a bit of a reflection on this concept before this video, I realized that there were many times where that pause afterwards was filled with beauty and clarity. And as I've, matured on my journey through life, I've noticed those moments a lot more, but missed a lot of them as well. But I think even with the benefit of hindsight, even doing exercises like the one I just guided you through, you can potentially still go back and find those little cherubs, those little nuggets of wisdom, even down the track. We're connected to these moments beyond time and space. When we go into these past memories, we are fully connected to the past. So to access the wisdom from those past moments is not out of our grasp. It's in fact what we are doing any time we do processing work around past events. We are healing those moments from the perspective of the past. So, yeah, those moments may have been missed at the time, but not lost forever. So in closing, the storm is not the last word. The silence afterwards is where the truth is audible. Let that quiet teach you. Listen to its wisdom. There's intelligence there. There's intelligence there for growth. And trust in your intuition as you listen for that wisdom in the silence.